This is WMNF Tampa.
Hey, music lovers, do you like to check out new music but also love those great artists throughout the decades? Well, Harrison, Sam, DJ Jimmy, and me, Blanny, would like to invite you to join us every Monday through Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m. on It's the Music, where each show is a unique listening experience guaranteed to please your ears. That's It's the Music, 1 to 3 p.m., Monday through Thursday, here on WMNF 88.5 FM.
I want to thank you for tuning in to Community Speaks. I'm your host, Patro Mabili. There's always so much to talk about, and I am honored to be here each Monday to kick off the conversation. It is important for individuals to remain engaged at any point in time, but especially in the political seasons, such as now, here in the run-up to another election in the United States. It is also important for communities to get organized. And this is where community organizers become invaluable. Historically, those who are in power seeks to define those in opposition to their policy agendas for all of us. In commemoration of Black August, we will hear about the Panthers of Florida today on Community Speaks. Next hour, we'll get back to the music when Blanny Whalen hosts It's the Music Monday after we get news update from The Scoop. Vigilance is the key as a desperate president from a desperate party begins to push right-wing propaganda and misinformation while they work to undermine the results of November's midterm election if or when the fascists lose. We have witnessed efforts on the POTUS's part and in red states to ignore global warming, even outlawing the words climate change. In Florida, the self-dealing POTUS continues to push to go backwards to coal plants with no interest in discussing the health effects, not just to the public, but black lung disease infecting the workers who breathe in coal dust. And politically, young people have stood in the vanguard against destructive capitalist policies and their political facilitators. On this day in August 24th, 1967, the leader of a group that he founded called the Youth International Party, Abbie Hoffman, led the group to Wall Street, where they temporarily disrupt trading at the New York Stock Exchange by throwing dollar bills from the viewing gallery. And trading ceased because the brokers started scrambling to grab the dollars. And a year later, 7 political activists were arrested for their anti-war activity during the August 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Illinois. Abbie Hoffman was one of the leaders, and they were put on trial. And the only African-American in the group was Bobby Seale, a co-founder of the Black Panther Party. It is important to teach what happened in court to Bobby Seale. Just for speaking out, insisting he was being denied his constitutional rights, the judge had him bound and gagged in the courtroom for allegedly calling the Judge Julius Hoffman, a fascist dog, a pig, and a racist. And we have not seen a defendant treated in court in that way since. And here in the Tampa Bay area, a new generation of committed students continue this history of conscious organizing in critical times. And Students for a Democratic Society right here at the University of South Florida, they get into a lot of good trouble holding regular weekly meetings, putting together free speech defense, protesting administrative bans on student demonstrations, demanding campus police cut ties with collaborations with problematic immigration enforcement, and advocating protections for international and undocumented students. And so all of those issues are on tap today as we are being vigilant politically in this country. And people across civil society see the hate rooted in unfounded fear and are investing to move on from hate groups. As reported last week, Equality Florida and the American Civil Liberties Union are embarking on a massive campaign to move on from Moms for Liberty, who exploited toxic white male violent groups like the Proud Boys. And For all of these reasons, the upcoming midterm election is putting the right wing and the ruling class on notice that change is coming. And so we could talk about all of those tensions that are happening in politics right now. But it is important to recognize the importance of groups who are organizing, community organizations, and organizations that are there for everyday reasons to help people cope with life. I've seen young people help elderly people clean up their homes or help them move. There's a lot that people can organize to do and also raise consciousness at the same time. There's long been the need to organize when a vulnerable community is under fire. We could talk about all of those instances. The Black Panthers have provided a blueprint for succeeding generations since the 1960s. Black berets, military-style uniforms, and polished boots. A new Tampa Bay organization is deliberately invoking the image of the 1960s Black Panther Party. It's called the Panthers of Florida. The group says its members patrol neighborhoods, attend local government meetings, and offer community programs. And so we'll start there. A reporter, Ratia Murphy, from our Sarasota partner station, WSLR News, looks at this organization, its claims, and what it hopes to build. You're tuned to Community Speaks. Keep it tuned.
The Panthers of Florida say they are trying to build a community-based organization focused on service, education, and neighborhood engagement. The original Black Panther Party was founded in Oakland in 1966. It became known both for armed monitoring of police and for community programs including free breakfasts, health clinics, and political education. The original national organization dissolved in the early 1980s, and several unrelated groups have since adopted variations of its name and imagery. In an interview with WSLR, Chairman Robert Sherman says the group's mission begins with giving people hope and encouraging communities to become more involved in solving problems together.
The people needs hope. The people needs defending. The people need a voice. The people need a vanguard.
When asked what that mission looks like in practice, Sherman and community organizer Justin Archer described an organization they hope will focus on mentorship, financial literacy, youth programs, neighborhood outreach, and building stronger relationships within Black communities. The Panthers of Florida have appeared at public meetings and community events. However, WSLR was unable to independently confirm before airtime how many people have participated in the organization's programs or how many residents it has served. Archer said the goal is to work directly with residents instead of waiting until problems become crises. Sherman and Archer addressed how the organization intends to operate. Archer emphasized that they plan to work with the law while building community partnerships and expanding their presence across Florida. Florida's legal landscape changed in 2025 when a state appeals court struck down the state's long-standing open carry ban. Openly carrying a firearm is now generally legal, although guns remain prohibited in certain locations and property owners can impose their own restrictions.
We are not moving in a way that you can use the law against us. We're moving with the law. And if you try to use the law against us, we will combat, we will fight it because we know that we are on the correct side of law. We are on the correct side of constitutional law.
Archer also bears the title Minister of Defense. Asked about military training and bearing firearms in public, he said the group is well aware of Florida law.
Advantage of our Second Amendment as it was written to be taken advantage of. And before we get into that, though, we definitely have done our due diligence to see what state laws, what local laws are in place that may become conflicting with that.
Questions also centered on how the Panthers of Florida plan to turn those ideas into action. For now, they are focusing on the Tampa Bay area, including Manatee County. Sherman acknowledged that building a statewide organization will take time, but the group is committed to continuing that work.
We don't fail. My daddy taught me that nothing beats a failure but a try, and you can't say that you failed if you keep trying.
Toward the end of the conversation, the discussion turned to how the organization could be perceived by people outside of the movement. Sherman stressed that the Panthers of Florida see themselves as a community organization focused on service rather than division. Archer returned to what he described as the organization's central purpose.
We want to improve all communities, but we see that the Black community is the one that's in the most need at the current time. But this is for everybody. We are for the people.
The Panthers of Florida are in the early stages of development. Their leaders say they plan to continue recruiting members, expanding community programs, and refining the organization's structure as those efforts grow. Whether those goals translate into community impact is something that will become clearer over time. For now, the organization says its focus is on building relationships, earning trust, and encouraging civic engagement throughout Florida. For WSLR News, I'm Ratia Murphy.
Thank you for that report from WSLR. It's good to see young people taking a page from history and organizing. That's what's most important, getting organized. How are you organizing, especially in this political season, given all the problems? We've seen many people invoke the image of the Black Panthers. We've heard of the Gray Panthers, where the elderly have attempted to organize to bring some consciousness raising to elder issues, and especially given how so much is being defunded right now, including the funding for the Affordable Care Act, and how that's really impacting elderly people, but all people across civil society who needed that help. The undermining of the Affordable Care Act by getting rid of the subsidies has caused more people to disenroll from health care coverage. That's not a good thing. 813-239-9663. That's the number to call. We've talked about some historical events that give some illustration of what is happening today in the minds of young people, how, especially when it comes to community organizing, how people have leaned on history and the knowledge of history, which is why history and the teaching of history, especially in our schools, is so important. You can also write me, DJ at WMNF.org. One emailer has written, thank you, Cindy, for writing. There's a drama available about the trial, Chicago 7 and Bobby Seale. That's an important piece of history, given the fact that this was just about silencing protesters who had an opinion, who were anti-war, and there are people anti-war today, as we've seen with the Students for a Democratic Society, who have come out on campus against what they have seen as unnecessary war, and this unnecessary response is overly violent response to what happened in Israel. And we're seeing those people who have, those students who organized and spoke out and attempted to protect international students from being attacked just for being Arab, Palestinian, and people who are undocumented from being snatched up on campus or off campus. There have been people, these students have advocated protections for people, and so it's heartwarming to see young people pulling a page from history and continuing to stand up in the breach politically when they see these policies being carried out. And we need that kind of community organization today more than ever. You can call and talk about what you're doing to organize, to be a community organizer, and what community organization, what issues you want to advocate and dramatize in this moment. 813-239-9663. I see some of you are already beginning to call. We'll get to those phone lines as soon as we possibly can. You can also write DJ at WMNF.org. And as we see a self-serving power structure in the guise of this POTUS and this Congress that is not holding him accountable, we are seeing him fall backwards on many issues, especially when it comes to the issue of climate change, as we're also seeing here in this red state of Florida, the outlawing of the word climate change and not even wanting to use the word global warming, because they don't want to face the truth. The world is inching towards a catastrophic climate events, and we move into the month of September. That's the height of hurricane season, and we've been lucky so far this year, but we also are seeing some of the hottest days, and each day seems to be hotter. And in that situation, we're going to see more, we're going to see bigger storms, and we have to be prepared for it. But when we have POTUS that's politically blind to those issues and purposely blinding themselves, and we've seen even during the pandemic that there is no respect for science, that they have politically gone after scientists. It's the same is true when it comes to global warming, and the scientists have long warned that the world will experience more intense extreme weather events like heat waves and storms and floods and droughts as long as we continue to use gas, oil, and coal at our current pace. And most fossil fuels release greenhouse gases, which go up in the atmosphere and heat the planet, which scrambles ecosystems and weather patterns. And still, massive climate events, extremes beyond anything we've seen in modern history, have mostly been thought of as a fiction, often been the plots of action movies. Today, such extremes of extremes are discussed as a possibility, even inevitability. Even an inevitability that should be taken seriously and prepared for, but not by a political class that is self-dealing and enriching themselves on these fossil fuels, and also needing to push lies, misinformation, so that we don't politically push back on them. So it's important that we talk about all of these issues and the risk. And when it comes to climate change and global warming, the human activity that has led to all of this is what these self-dealing ruling class doesn't want us talking about, especially here in Florida. And that's really surprising, when maybe not so surprising, but this is, there are a lot of smart people in this state. And I know that people are continuing to organize to push back on the ban. And there are lots of bans going on when it comes to information, true information, to the truth, information, true science, true history. All of that is being undermined right here in the state of Florida. So we have a need for community organization on many levels. And we're seeing that in political season such as we're in, they are willing to try to define those who are opposing this agenda. So we have to do whatever we need to do to make sure we define ourselves, especially those who are in the know and know what kind of misinformation. That's why we are here, and that's why I am here, because I'm a warrior against misinformation. I see the dangers and the damage that it has done politically in this country. We're going to continue to stay here and fight for truth in this country and on this globe. There's a lot that, we are seeing play out politically, and we have to respond to it, because there's no rhyme and reason for a lot of it other than the hate and the fear. I mean, as Mahatma Gandhi pointed out, it's the fear. We think it's the hate, but it's the fear. I say it's both. 813-239-9663. You are tuned to Community Speaks here on WMNF Radio 88.5 FM. And I want to hear from you. This is an opportunity to talk with you as we're seeing so much happen in your name. I'm getting some news right now that the U.S. aircraft carrier, a new aircraft carrier, has arrived in the Middle East to relieve the USS Lincoln. This is a carrier that has kept soldiers stranded out there on the water, and their quality of life has really suffered. And we're also saying that there was at least one soldier on that carrier who's stuck out there, whose father was deported in the meantime. So, there's no rhyme and reason for what we're seeing happening politically in this country coming from the right wing. But this new carrier, the Asia-based USS George Washington's aircraft carrier, is now operating in the Middle East. The U.S. military said that this is going to be relieving this long-deployed carrier following reports of mental health challenges and supply shortages aboard while it was supporting the Iran war. And there are a lot of people who want that war, never wanted it to start, wanted to end. Even the POTUS acts like he's desperate for it to end, but he's pushed himself into a corner, doesn't know how to end it. And I think all the cards are in the hands of Iran right now. Terrible place to be, but that's where we are because this POTUS didn't think it through before he started shooting bullets. And we're understanding that even given, as this new aircraft carrier arrives from the Lincoln's lengthy deployment, is included an uninterrupted time at sea for more than 250 days. And about reports of crew stress and poor mental health, as I said, supply shortages, including food and hygiene products. It's got to be miserable out there. And so several Democratic lawmakers have pressed the Department of Defense for accountability over conditions aboard the Lincoln, which Defense Secretary Hicks has said were completely misrepresented. But we're talking from the crew themselves, talking about those conditions. And again, another example of how there was just no pre-planning for this war. It's this hubris that a lot of this toxic masculinity and power in the United States right now doesn't think things through, because it just thinks that the United States is a big, bad superpower that can do whatever it wants. 813-239-9663. I want to hear from you. This is my opportunity to talk with you. You could also write DJ at WMNF.org. I'd be glad to read your comments on the air. And I know that the midterm elections is high on the minds of a lot of you. Some of you are writing about the amendments that's going to show up on the midterm election ballot. And one is Amendment 3. We're going to hear a lot of talk about that. I think this has to do with the property tax reform. And again, this is an attempt on the ruling class of this red state to push for populism, but not really planning out what will replace the money if the property tax is taken away or reformed in some way. And you have to think things through. So this one emailer has said a big no on Amendment 3. And we've seen how amendments have been militated against by the ruling class in this state, and that's probably gotten them into a little trouble, but we'll see how it goes this time. But again, they had to rewrite the summary that you're going to read on the ballot, because they were not really making a whole lot of sense. They were trying to politicize in the summary. But Florida Tax Watch, which is a nonpartisan watchdog organization, said it would be better if voters defeated Amendment 3. They say it's a major property tax cut for homeowners, asserting it fails to keep municipal spending in check and hurts vulnerable Floridians. And even, I guess, property taxes also pay for first responders, including the sheriffs. And Florida Sheriff's Association and the Florida State Fraternal Order of Police and the Florida Professional Firefighters all oppose Amendment 3. So that's going to show up on your ballot, and we're going to see what the people say. And that's going to be in November during the midterm elections here in Florida. So abreast of the situation there. 813-239-9663. That's the number to call if you want to join a discussion with me. I'm your host, Patro Mabili, here on Community Speaks, and this is my opportunity every week to speak with you about the issues that are important to you here in the state of Florida and in the United States in general. And so we'll go to the telephone lines again, 813-239-9663. That's the number to call so that we could talk here on Community Speaks about all of these issues that are coming to bear. And the question is, how are you organizing? So let's go to the telephone lines and speak with Simon from Lakeland. Well, hopefully we can speak with Simon. I'm not sure why I'm not able to pick up that call, but just keep hanging on in there. And you can also call in. As I said, the number to call is 813-239-9663, or you can write DJ at WMNF.org to see what we can, how we can get this conversation rolling.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go, Simon. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, hey, great. Thanks for taking my call. You guys, you may want to check out a book, Thomas Wolfe, Radical Chic. It talks about the Black Panthers.
Okay.
Anyway, Abby Hoffman, let us not forget, in 1970-ish, when he escorted Gracie Slick to the White House with the intent of putting LSD in Nixon's drink of tea, and he was not allowed. They were not allowed in the White House. They were going to basically poison the president of the United States with LSD. I had a patient who was a geologist, and we were talking about Wally Brecker, known as Wally. He's the guy who coined global warming. Wrote a paper in 1975, which he then recanted and stated that his data wasn't accurate at the time. But I'll leave you with this. If I was going to follow any Black Panther, I would follow Eldridge Cleaver. Now, here's a guy who, after moving to Algeria, came back. He became a Zionist. No different than Bernie Sanders is a Zionist, because Bernie Sanders is in favor of the two-state solution. And I'll ask the audience, should Israel have fought this war the way Arab and Muslims fight each other?
I don't get the difference, but war is war and fighting is fighting. So, it's about the numbers, Simon.
It's about the numbers. The United States used an atomic bomb, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. That is not listed as a genocide.
It should be. It really should be. A lot of people felt like it was, and it certainly was no doubt loss of life there. But thank you for your call, Simon. And LSD, I don't know about trying to poison, quote unquote, President Nixon at the time, but LSD in people's drinks was apparently a common practice after MK Ultra mind-altering experiment took place. It became common practice. We could talk about the Grateful Dead. We could talk about all kinds of the trip outs. All I know is that I'm glad I wasn't going to concerts at that time in those days, but it was a very common practice. Let's go and speak with a guy from the Down and Dirty, John Dingfelder, talking about this property tax amendment. Thank you, John Dingfelder, for calling to Community Speaks. You say what? I'm sorry, can you hear me? I'm not exactly, again, sure why I can't get... All right, I think I found a way to do it. Thank you, John, for calling to Community Speaks.
Hey, you can hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I'm driving down the road. Yeah, good show, good topic on the property tax amendment. So Bob Enriquez, the property appraiser, was on our show about a month ago, and we were talking about, this issue and what sort of impact it's going to have on different local governments. And I think What's interesting is in the city of Tampa, which has a lot of commercial properties and industrial properties, which are not going to be necessarily affected by this amendment, the impact is a lot less. So in the city of Tampa, the impact is only, it starts, I think, the first year about 10% of the property tax budget, and the next year goes to about 20%. But what I want to point out, especially to our listeners out in the county, out in the 7 or 8 counties in the hinterlands, that the impact out in a small place like Zephyr Hills or Plant City or Temple Terrace, the places that are mostly residential, is going to be huge. And I think that those are the folks that need to get out and probably vote against this more than anybody, because all of a sudden, you know, if you've got a little Temple Terrace police department, or, you know, I don't know what they do, you know, in some of these other small towns, but, you know, maybe a little fire department or something like that, the impact is going to be huge. Anyway, I don't know if it's not really a question, but I just wanted to point that out, and keep up the good work there on your show.
Thank you, John. And but again, I just wanted to be sure you said that for businesses is not going to be that impactful.
Yeah, because in the city of Tampa, we have a lot of businesses, business properties, and there's not going to be any impact on how much they pay. And the same thing with industrial properties, like an Amazon. You know, this doesn't affect how much they pay.
Which is,
and in the city of Tampa, because we have a lot of commercial and industrial, the impact of this tax relief, so-called tax relief, is going to be less on a major city like Tampa or St. Petersburg than it would be on these smaller towns out and about, because those smaller towns are made up of residential. You know, they're like their tax base is like, who knows, 90% residential. So anyway,
so this is going to be very regressive. It sounds like to me, if passed.
Yeah, exactly. And then if people aren't paying property taxes, the government's still going to get you in fees. So when you go drop off your kid at a government daycare, or you take an art class, or, you know, or maybe even if the fireman shows up, they might charge you a fee instead of having it be free. And there's the regressive part of it.
Right.
So
exactly. Well, thank you, John. Thank you. That puts it in perspective for me.
All right. You keep up the good work. Take care.
You too. 813-239-9663. I'm your host, Patro Mobili, for this public affairs program called Community Speaks, and just finding out what's on your mind, responding to what is happening, and what historically can we learn from community organizations. And like I said, young people is not, when we talk about invoking the image of the Black Panther Party, it's about taking a fine example historically and not necessarily following anybody, but organizing yourself around the issues that are important to you and your community. And it's a great example, I believe, to follow. 813-239-9663. One emailer has written to dj@wmnf.org saying, formulate peace. I like that. We got to pull together, all of us. The dividing lines between us are manufactured. We all want the same thing, to live a happy, enriching, peaceful life. And good peace, solid peace, righteous peace, strong peace. Our peace is stronger than the fake hate and fear. I like that. I concur, Tom. Thank you for that email. We go back to the telephone lines. The number to call for Community Speaks is 813-239-9663. If you want to join this conversation, go ahead. Reverend James Warren from Tarpon Springs, thank you for calling Community Speaks. You say what?
Yes, sir. I agree with the gentleman who just got to speak. First of all, I'd like to thank you, sir, what y'all doing. And y'all can let me run y'all gospel station, the jazz station. I want to say to you, sir, I appreciate it. I thank God for what the young people are doing. Back in the day, I was in my teens, maybe 14, 15, when the Black Panther, we need to start back promoting our local, our other organizations like the Muslim Nation of Islam, one of the greatest organizations. And for you Christians out there, They believe in Jesus. They put a lie that they're against Jesus. They're not against Jesus. They is for educating our young black men, black women to pull their own self up and work with the system to go against the corrupt system. Because we that stand was for nothing, brother, will fall for anything. I thank God for James Muhammad, all the other brothers and sisters. Thank God for your show, sir. We got to get our kids involved. I need to let you know this, sir. My son volunteered for the fire department. He's a fireman, but he volunteered on his time off for the little bit of fire department. What there's going to be a lot of houses going to burn down if they pass that crazy law.
Amendment 3.
Amendment 3. So we need to do away with that devil. Another thing, if they don't get it one way, they're going to get it another way.
Right.
Like you say, sir. But I need to put this out there. There's another drug, worse than fentanyl. It's called Ronald. And the president discovered that, but he ain't not putting it out there. Ronald is rhinoceros. They can knock a rhinoceros out. If it don't kill you, sir, it make you like a zombie. A lot of drug smoke ain't gonna like when they get ready to say. And they put it on marijuana.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing. If I had $20 million, y'all get $1 million.
All right. Well,
we need to put our money where our mouth is, involve these kids, and parent, if you're a good parent, you should not be smoking no marijuana with your children. Let them make on their mind. And women, you out there selling your body just to get that freaking marijuana. What about that little pretty daughters? You're going to be doing it. Whatever they see us do, we do. And us men, mistreating our black women, mistreating any woman. You was a low-life bastard. And have a wonderful day, sir.
All right. Thank you, Reverend James Warren. Thank you for that call.
I'm straight up, sir. I believe in law and order.
Yeah.
Not like that orange man do, though. I'm a real law and order.
I understand. And you're telling something real, and especially when it comes to any drugs out there, just recognize that these drugs are not safe anymore.
And also, marijuana, they're going to finish spreading this corona, too. Because you know how they pass it to one another? You better keep that crap to yourself. Another thing they say is get in the air, right? So you ever smell that marijuana real strong?
Oh, yeah.
That person could be got that virus. And they say inside the air spread, you can walk right into it, you could get corona. And you may not die from it, but that's your grandma, your granddaddy, or somebody real low might get it and die from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all you snitches out there went to federal jail, coming home and snitching on a young one. That's just like you snitch on somebody gonna snitch on you. All right, I keep it real, brother.
Yes, you do. I appreciate that.
God bless you.
Thank you for calling. This is Community Speaks, and this is the place to speak your truth. 813-239-9663, and he had a message for a lot of people out there, and it's important to listen carefully at what's being said, and but yeah, especially when it comes to these drugs, and also when it comes to the first responders, and how regressive the economy, this amendment, getting rid of the property tax, all of that is relative when we talk about the quality of life in this country and in this community. But the biggest message there is keep young people engaged and involved and aware of these issues. Let's stop trying to hide the truth, especially what happened historically in this country and in these communities, because, they're the ones that's going to have to live with the fallout. 813-239-9663. Just want to take more of your telephone calls as we're in the last 15 minutes of Community Speaks. Up next, of course, we're going to get back to the music. But right now, you're listening to Community Speaks. and taking your telephone calls and emails. You can email me at dj@wmnf.org. Let's go to Dunedin and speak with Tim. Thank you for calling, Tim.
Hey, Mobili, so
Hey.
good to hear you.
Yes.
Me and the wife are long-time WMNF listeners and supporters.
Great.
Way back in the day with Rob and all the pledge guys.
Oh, yeah.
I heard you last week, and I threw out an email, but I just guess you didn't get it. It's so good to hear your voice again, Mobili. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are, it's 2026, and once again, we're stuck with a Republican president in a forever oil war and no end in sight. Gasoline's now $4 a gallon, and everybody tells us that we've never had it so good. People on Medicare and Medicaid are going to find out real fast just what the big, beautiful bill did to them.
Right.
And it's going to be painful for all the way around. But it seems things never change. We're in another oil war with no end in sight. We have inflation through the roof. The things that the American people want seem to be the last thing on Congress's mind.
Right.
I swear, I can't understand how they can work for months and months and get nothing done. It's the strangest thing.
It is.
Anyway, I don't want to be negative. I want to be positive. We need to organize. Everybody needs to get out and vote. And you know who I mean to vote for. Not the people that have been holding us back. The people with fresh, new ideas.
Yes.
We need to embrace them, listen to them, and join them. Thank you, Mobili. Thank you for letting me have a voice.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye now. And you can also call 813-239-9663. You can also email dj@wmnf.org. Got some great emails. One emailer has reminded us, Gary, Indiana, still without power. And the United States unveiled economic D-Day. I mean, just how this poet loves to use these dystopian terms only to push his own self and us in a corner where you're powerless to do really anything. Israel continues to bomb. They bombed a mosque, a desalination plant also in Gaza. So there's a low-level conflict still underway there. Despite what has happened, we're still hearing this very dystopian world unfolding because these guys just don't want. They don't want peace. And in fact, they're continuing to try to enrich themselves in the process. Israeli strikes, killing 6 Palestinians today. A Palestinian man was executed by Israel in Gaza, the family says. Israeli forces kill a Palestinian. Settler assaults continue on elderly amputee. I mean, it just gets worse and worse every time I read from that any news from that region. So, at some point we have to turn the page because, just killing for killing's sake is not solving any problems. But I still want to hear from you, 813-239-9663. This is Community Speaks. You can also write dj@wmnf.org. We're talking about a number of things, a number of fallacies taking place and unfolding politically in this country, in this state, on this globe. One emailer, an anonymous email, has written about the property taxes, about rental properties, renters' protections in Hillsborough. The county website expresses a list of policies. The Ask a Lawyer number says they exclude. They told this emailer last Friday, so there are some people who are going to be excluded from property tax. And I think he was saying, this anonymous was saying rental properties, rental protections are needed in Hillsborough County, of course. You can also write dj@wmnf.org. I have your emails. I'll read your emails on the air. You can call also 813-239-9663. Another emailer, counties can increase millage rates to make up for the shortfall in Amendment 3. That's if it passes. And many renters will benefit from Amendment 3, according to one emailer. How many non-homesteaded homeowners will benefit from Amendment 3? How much more will Amendment 3 save on a multi-million-dollar home? The answer to all those questions is not many. It'd be interesting to see how renters benefit, though, because it seems like anytime a rental property will go up on the rent, that's exactly what they will do. 813-239-9663. As the price of everything continues to go up, as trade wars continue, financial warfare, economic warfare continues by this POTUS, imposing sanctions on our allies and, North American ally of Canada, of all places. Why? Because he wants to enrich himself and his cronies. Go ahead, Kevin from Riverview. You've called in to Community Speaks. You say what?
Hey, how are you? I started a new job in February, and as soon as all this started, we were paying $2.62 a gallon. Now we're going up to $4 a gallon. I don't think DeSantis will let it go over $4 a gallon, being the national average, but we've seen it fluctuate, between $2.70, $3.75, $4 a gallon. And Chevron's going to be having record profits again, and the other major oil companies, ExxonMobil. It's not fair to the guy I drive maybe 300 to 400 miles a week for my job, and I negotiated with my employer to get a more cents per mile, from 70 cents to 85 cents. I asked for $1, but they wouldn't budge that far. However, it's the little guy like me that's filling up my tank every other day, and just with Chevron's going to have these record profits. It's just deplorable.
It is, and given how this POTUS is going out of his way to create this profitable situation for the oil companies, even taking out a head of state in Venezuela and promising Chevron the spoils.
Right, and what did he do? He said, Chevron, we're mad at you. I'm the president. I'm mad at you, Chevron, because you're going to get record profits. But what does that do for us? I'm saving every last gas receipt I have. I live in this fantasy world where I think one day I'm going to set those receipts down and I'll get a check for every last dime. I know I'm living in a fantasy world, but I just had to share my grief with you. I appreciate you listening.
I thank you for calling in there. Definitely the gas prices. I hadn't even mentioned that yet, and that's the thing that's in your face every day.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
We're going to go to Anonymous. Looks like this is an interesting call. Anonymous, you want to talk about witness protection for whom?
No, renters protection. It's DeAndre. I'm just trying to...
DeAndre, thank you. Okay.
Man, I'm trying to hide, man.
Rental, okay. What you hiding from?
Negro up in here, man. So what's going on is I've realized that they're dissolving renters protection. I have complaints about where I reside, not necessarily the maintenance staff, but then the policies around where I reside, the difficulties I encounter when trying to meet, responsibilities as a tenant. And I'm realizing to myself, is this, a matter of updates they haven't done, but we're paying exorbitant amounts of rent out this way. And a lot of times people who own these properties, they're, professionals, so-called professionals. So to save these professionals, they pulling regulations out, and they're doing it because by totally not providing access or security in renters. Hillsborough County renters policy, and I forget what to ask the lawyer phone number is, but I call them, and they're like, "We're not dealing with people." And then I call people from Google. They're like, "We're not trying to help nobody in Hillsborough County." I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
So I have no protection, no renters protections by the Hillsborough County bylaws. Now, I know that's preemption all the way from up goodness knows where, I don't know, the Caucasus or some crazy alpine or some, rocky, smoky mountain somewhere. I don't know, man. But that's what's happening. I know that's what's happening. How you going to do? They doing that in our face, bro.
Yeah.
And then they want these raised stadiums.
Right.
While, they're producing, hazardous habitat for people. They're leaving these places in dangerous conditions. Until I got my air purifiers, 4 of them, I was waking up with headaches every day.
Wow.
That's just off air purifiers, bro. I left the window open one time. I was down there by Tico. With a new places down there. Gnawed it out. Man, I got something in my throat that felt like it wanted to set my face on fire.
Man.
And this is from a screen window.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm just telling you, man, isotope or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping. But
no, but
it was rough.
This is life.
For a whole 2 days.
This is life deregulated. You know what I'm saying? They letting companies do whatever they want.
Seen this. We done seen slumlord millionaires before, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of all stripes. You know, skin folk and all. You know, I ain't, man.
Yeah, but, you know, you raise a good question. Where do renters go? Who do renters turn to? You know, first you turn to city councils to see if you can call a moratorium on rent rise. But, you know, they say we're afraid of being sued by these private properties. So these, you know, landowners.
It's a big trap. It's a big trap, dog eat dog trap, man. And it's terrible. I ain't even want to say nothing because I'm just, I got stuff to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hope I need to look.
Yeah. The world deregulated, and you know, and I still wear masks as much as I possibly can because you know it's not just COVID, but you know, just the smog, just you know, the gnats and the mosquitoes and all of that. You know, I need protection.
If they deregulating like that, where they cut lawyers out of the loop on actual discrepancies in policy, what other institutions have they crashed through like that, bro?
Right.
I'm just messed up over here, man. I'm finna go ahead and talk to some aliens or something. I don't know.
All right.
I'll talk to you later, man.
Thank you for calling and talking to us first. Thank you.
You got it.
Justice, let's see what Justice have to say as we head on out. Go ahead, Justice from Spring Hill. You say what?
Hello, how you doing? Yeah.
Good.
Just wanted to reiterate, really, I've called before about the same thing, of course, and that is that you're giving these people too much credit. DeSantis, Trump, hate saying their names, but it's all these people around them. I mean, we've got to stop saying it's him and it's him. It's them. There are so many evildoers in our Senate, in our Congress, that all have to go.
They're just figureheads. You're right. They're
Absolutely. Obama, I loved Obama, one of the few times I ever voted for a president. But let's face it, he bombed Gaza too.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems.
The guy that got me to call was that it's just more of the same.
Real politics.
Right? Well, the same thing also is money. What do we need to do? What will correct all of these issues for all of these people? Abolish all forms of currency now. And see what happens. You think that's crazy? Look around. No. Abolish all forms of currency now.
It's happening with digitalization.
These billionaires won't have the power you think they have.
Yeah. It's worth thinking about.
I just want to reiterate, abolish all forms of currency now.
All right, Justice from Spring Hill.
I sure appreciate your show, man.
And thank you for calling.
Take care.
You too. That's my time. I'm going to go ahead and get on out, make room to get a news update from The Scoop. But then we got to get back to the music. It's the Music Monday. It comes your way after The Scoop. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and head on out. This has been Community Speaks, and I certainly thank you for your calls and emails. I'm going to continue to read your emails, but right now, it's just simply out of time. But I certainly appreciate all your calls, and keep it tuned right here to WMNF Tampa.
WMNF Tampa, for over 40 years, radioactive with your support.
scoop for money.